On General's Overlook, the statue and memorial that stands out above all others is that of five-star General Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Commander of the Allied forces during World War II. Born in Texas in 1890, brought up in Abilene, Kansas, Eisenhower was the third son of 7 sons. He excelled in sports in high school and received an appointment to West Point. Stationed in Texas as a second lieutenant, he met Mamie Geneva Dowd, whom he married in 1916. A member of the star-studded class that would ultimately produce 59 generals, including Omar Bradley, Eisenhower was a solid student and graduated 61st in a class of 164. While at the academy, he also proved a gifted athlete until having his career cut short by a knee injury. Completing his education, Eisenhower graduated in 1915 and was assigned to the infantry. Eisenhower was one of a select few who obtained the rank of a 5-star general on December 20th, 1944. In his early Army career, Eisenhower excelled in staff assignments, serving under Generals John Blackjack Pershing, Douglas MacArthur, and Walter Kruger. Known as an excellent staff officer, Eisenhower was selected as aide by U.S. Army Chief of Staff General Douglas MacArthur. When MacArthur's term ended in 1935, Eisenhower followed his superior to the Philippines to serve as a military advisor to the Filipino government. Promoted to lieutenant colonel in 1936, Eisenhower began to clash with MacArthur on military and philosophical topics. Opening a rift that would last the remainder of their lives, the arguments led to Eisenhower to return to Washington in 1939 and take a series of staff positions. Becoming chief of the War Plans Division, he was soon elevated to Assistant Chief of Staff, overseeing the Operations Division under Chief of Staff General George C. Marshall. Though he had never led large formations in the field, Eisenhower soon impressed Marshall with his organizational and leadership skills. As a result, Marshall appointed him commander of the European Theater of Operations on June 24, 1942. This was soon followed by a promotion to lieutenant general. After extensive planning, Eisenhower moved forward with the invasion of Normandy, Operation Overlord, on June 6, 1944. Successful, his forces broke out of the beachhead in July and began driving across France. Though he clashed with Churchill over strategy, Eisenhower worked to balance Allied initiatives and improve Montgomery's Operation Market Garden in September. Pushing east in December, Eisenhower's biggest crisis of the campaign came with the opening of the Battle of the Bulge on December 16th. With German forces breaking through the Allied lines, Eisenhower quickly worked to seal the breach and contain the enemy advance. Over the next month, Allied forces halted the enemy and drove them back to their original lines with heavy losses. During the fighting, Eisenhower was promoted to General of the Army. With the surrender of Germany on May 8, 1945, Eisenhower was named military governor of the U.S. occupation zone. As governor, he worked to document Nazi atrocities, deal with food shortages, and aid refugees. Returning to the United States that fall, Eisenhower was greeted as a hero. Made Chief of Staff on November 19th, he replaced Marshall and remained in this post until February 6, 1948. A key responsibility during his tenure was overseeing the rapid downsizing of the Army after the war. Departing in 1948, Eisenhower became president of Columbia University. While there, he worked to expand his political and economic knowledge, as well as he wrote his memoir, Crusade in Europe. In 1950, Eisenhower was recalled to be the Supreme Commander for the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. Serving until May 31, 1952, he retired from active duty and returned to Columbia University. Entering politics, Eisenhower ran for president that fall with Richard Nixon as his running mate. Winning in a landslide, he defeated Adlai Stevenson, a moderate Republican. Eisenhower's 8 years in the White House were marked by the end of the Korean War, efforts to contain communism, construction of the interstate highway system, nuclear deterrence, founding of Nassau, and economic prosperity. Leaving office in 1961, Eisenhower retired to his farm in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. He lived in Gettysburg with his wife Mamie until his death from heart failure on March 28, 1969. Following funeral services in Washington, Eisenhower was buried in Abilene, Kansas, at the Eisenhower Presidential Library.